So as most of you have probably already seen, MCC is back with an all-new look for Season 4. So I took it upon myself to make some team predictions for MCC 36 that are somewhat realistic, but also pretty OP. But make sure to comment down below which one is your favorite by the end of this video, because there's some pretty cool teams in here. Anyways, without further ado, let's just get right into my very interesting MCC 36 team predictions. Alright, so first up we have the Red Rabbits with Fire Breath Man, Smager, Gumi, and Elena, with their all-time average being 8,336. So to be honest, when I first started making these teams, I had no idea who to put on red. Like, I didn't know who to start out with, so I just kind of went with Shane, I guess, because Shane really can fit on any team color. And then, of course, Scott also can fit on most team colors. I don't think Scott's been on a red team, though, in a while, I feel like. But him and Shane are a really cool duo, nonetheless. And then Gumi and Elena, of course, are good friends with Shane and Scott, so, I mean, it made sense to have them team together. And I thought this team was a really cool team because it's actually not that weak of a team. Like, this team actually has a lot of pop-off potential and actually could do pretty well. Like, if they get a Sands of Time or like a Build Mar or maybe even a Rocket Spleef Rush game like late, they could actually do really well. And I think it'd be a cool team to see in Season 4 because, I mean, it seems realistic, to be honest. Next up, we have the Orange Ocelots with H-Bomb, Smallishbeans, False Symmetry, and Tango Tech, with their all-time average being 8,015. Now, I decided to pick one person from Hermitcraft to be like a newcomer, and I decided Tango is probably the best fit. I feel like Skizzleman could be another good fit from Hermitcraft as well, but I feel like Tango is just like the biggest creator, and also is like has the most friends that are in MCC, so I feel like it made sense to have Tango on here. And yeah, I feel like he actually fits pretty well with this team. I mean, H is always that honorary hermit. Joel finally joined Hermitcraft this past season, and then of course False has been one of the Hermitcraft OGs. So I mean, this team makes sense all around. Like, it's actually pretty balanced too. Like, it's not that much of a weaker team than Red, and I feel like this team would be a lot of fun, to be honest. I mean, False, Joel, and H can all pop off, and then Tango being the newcomer makes this team unrealistic to a degree because Tango might not get in, but still, nonetheless, I feel like it would be a pretty realistic team if Tango was to get into the events, which I feel like he should within the first, like, 3 events of Season 4, just my opinion, though. I don't know, maybe he comes down the line, but I feel like within, like, the first couple events, I feel like Tango or some Hermitcraft member should join in on the fray. I think this team would do well in a lot of games, to be honest. I feel like this team is a very well-rounded team to do well in a lot of games. So their best game, if I was to choose out of them, probably Build Bart. I guess that's just kind of like stereotypical because they're hermits, but I don't know, maybe like a Rocket Spleef Rush they could do good in, or probably Sands of Time. They probably do really good in Sands of Time, to be honest. Next up, we have the Yellow Yaks with Krtzyy, SB, Erit, and Ant Venom, with their all-time average being 8,341. Okay, so going into this team, I thought it'd be cool to have Dave kind of lead a team, but also at the same time have a really interesting duo like SB. Like, it's not an overpowered duo, but it's very interesting because they could do really well together, but SB is kind of rusty. He hasn't played since 32, I think, so that was a while ago. So SB hopefully will join in on MCC in the first, like, couple events of Season 4. Like, I hope he does. And I think Dave, of course, is always going to, you know, sign up for MCC. So yeah, Dave's definitely going to be in 36, and I feel like this team could be pretty realistic. I mean, Ant Venom has been improving a lot lately, and then of course Eric's one of the best role players in the entire events, but Ant has like been going crazy. Like, he's been getting like consistently top 25 and top 20 a lot lately. Like, I'm saying, like in his last 3 events, I think he's gotten like 21st, and like 14th, 13th. He popped off in like, I think the last event or the second last event of the, I think it was Fit 35 Cerulean, right, when he was on that team, or was he on that team? Maybe not. No, I think it was another team. I forget. But I know Ant did pop off recently. And yeah, this team seems pretty fair. I mean, it's pretty kind of similar to Red in the average-wise, but I feel like it might be a little bit better than Red. I don't know. But let me know what you think about this team in the comments, because it's probably the most interesting team so far. Next up, we have the Lime Llamas with JojoSolos, the Orion Sound, Cub Fan, and Solidarity, with their all-time average being 8,286. Alright, I know what you're thinking. I was looking back on MCC 35 VODs, and this team, oh my gosh, is way too similar to JoJo's MCC 35 team. It was JoJo, Scott, Cub, and Jimmy, and now it's just JoJo, Ollie, Cub, and Jimmy. So basically, we're just taking out Scott and putting in Ollie. And I feel like that's actually a pretty fair replacement. I feel like that Ollie and Scott are very similar players. Maybe Ollie's a little bit better now because Ollie's been doing really well recently in MCC, like 35, 34, and 33, I think it was. No, I mean, I think it was before that, but Ollie did really well. Like, he got like 14th, 14th, and 14th, I think, 3 times in a row, 3 14ths in a row. His teams have also been doing really well recently as well. But Ollie's last couple teams in Season 3 did really well, so I think Ollie is kind of a fair replacement for Scott's. But nonetheless, this team is probably a little bit too similar, and I feel like I should have realized that before I kind of, recorded with this team and realized that they're very, very similar. But anyways, nonetheless, it's still cool to have kind of a run back of a team and just kind of replace one player, because you're kind of seeing how it does a second time, and maybe this team does really well a second time, because I feel like they got like 5th or 4th when they teamed in 35, maybe even lower than that. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that team did kind of middle of the pack, so maybe Ollie like kind of boosts this team a little bit. I don't know. But is this team realistic? Probably, yeah. This team is probably one of the more realistic teams just because of the friend group we have going on here, and then JoJo, of course, is, pretty good friends with like Jimmy and Ollie, so yeah, I feel like this team would work pretty well in an actual MCC. Next up, we have the Green Geckos with Wally Bear, Hannah XX Rose, Skeppy, and Bad Boy Halo, with their all-time average being 7,912. Now, I was thinking, okay, Skeppy and Bad played in 35 or 34 together. I think it was 34. And I was like, okay, what if we just bring back Skeppy and Bad and then team them with another iconic duo in MCC? And I was like, okay, so if Purple's confirmed not to be playing in 36, what's another iconic duo? And then I was like, boom, Wally Bear and Hannah. And then I was like, Skeppy and Bad with Wally and Hannah works so well because Hannah is good friends with Skeppy and Bad, and then also Wally knows Skeppy and Bad pretty well, I'm pretty sure. So hey, this team works, man. I mean, the two duos on this team is crazy, and even though their average is a little bit lower than other teams and they seem kind of unfair, I mean, Wally and Hannah popped off in 35, so I feel like their pop-off potential kind of makes them like fair with all the other teams, even though their average is lower. This team also does seem pretty realistic. Like, I actually think this team could work in an MCC someday, so hopefully it does happen. Hopefully the Skeppy and Bad duo do come back in MCC someday. Hopefully they don't just disappear, and that's in 34 is the last time we see them, because that'd be sad. So yeah, hoping that happens, and hoping we get to see the Wally and Hannah duo again. Hopefully the Wally and Hannah duo is not banned, because it might be banned because of how OP they were last time they teamed. Next up, we have the Cyan Coyotes with Fruitberries, Krtzyy, Gucky, and Snifferish, with their all-time average being 8,407. So the thought behind this team was originally it was going to be like Captain Sparkles, and then it was going to be like Becky instead of Gucky and Krtzyy, but I decided, I was like, you know what, I want another newcomer in this event, so I was like, put in Krtzyy, take out Captain, and then I was like, to kind of even it out, I was like, put in Gucky, because Gucky and Sniff, I know they're pretty good friends, and this team works, man. I mean, Fruit and Krtzyy is a crazy duo, HBG duo, and it's really cool, and Gucky and Sniff actually works out pretty well, too, because Gucky and Sniff is a pretty fair duo, I feel like, because Gucky and Sniff are two really good role players in this event. I think this team has the highest average, and considering it has the highest average by only like 50 coins is kind of crazy, because I mean, hey, this team could go absolutely insane. Like, if they get like a Sky Battle or SG late in the tournaments, they could go off. So yeah, I don't know what Krtzy's best game would be though. Like in MCC, I don't know what Krtzyy would be the best at. He'd probably be the best at like a parkour tag. I feel like Krtzy's best game would probably be parkour tag. Anyways, I'm really proud of this team. I think it's one of my favorites, but we'll get to a couple other of my favorite teams I've made down the line. Alright, next up we have the like and subscribe buttons. Okay, I guess that means you gotta click both so the video can continue. Don't worry, I'll wait. Hey, thanks for doing that. Now, back to the video. Next up, I have the Aqua Axolotls with Antfrost, Ryguy Rocky, Awesome Dude, and Good Times with Scar, with their all-time average being 8,228. Man, do I love this team. This team is a vibe, bro. This actually gives me MCC 19 Cerulean vibes, I feel like. Maybe because it's an Aqua team, but also because, like, Ryguy and Awesome Dude were kind of... Because Ryguy and Awesome Dude were on that team, and then Ant and Scar are very similar, I feel like, to Goomy and Fruit. So I feel like, ooh, this team kind of does remind me of that. And that's one of my favorite teams of all time in MCC history, so I'm glad this team actually does remind me of that. And I feel like it kind of was inspired by that. So if this team was to happen in real life, I feel like they would do really well in a lot of games. So, yeah. I don't know if it's realistic though. It might be a little bit too good to be realistic, but hey, maybe it is fair in some event down the line. Next up, we have the Blue Bats with Shadoon, Ollie Gamers, Inthelittlewood, and Kara Corvus, with their all-time average being 8,173. Now, I wanted to bring back the Shadoon and Ollie Gamers duo, and I was gonna put in a bunch of Spanish newcomers on this team, but I decided I don't really know the Spanish community well enough to really put in newcomers and decide like who's the most wanted newcomer. And yeah, I thought Inthelittlewood and Kara would be a cool little, duo to help out. I mean, Kara and Shadoon did team in Mayhem 28, so they know each other. And then Martin, I think, knows Shadoon and Ollie maybe very well. I don't know. Maybe Martin doesn't know Ollie. But I think Martin has teamed with Shadoon in some Minecraft events. Anyways, yeah, this team is probably one of the weaker teams in this event, but it's pretty well-rounded, I feel like. I mean, Martin can pop off. Ollie and Shadoon is a great duo, like I said before. And then Kara, again, probably the best or one of the best role players in the entire event. And I think this team could be pretty realistic in real life. I don't know, maybe switch out like Ollie or Martin because they don't really know each other well with somebody else. But nonetheless, I still could see this team happening in real life. Anyways, next up we have the Purple Pandas with PeteZahHutt, Vikkstar, Preston, and Jerome, with their all-time average being 8,252. Oh yeah, baby, the pack is back. Come on now. Pete, Vic, Preston, and Jerome. Oh yeah, this is a dream team right here for me. If I ever saw this team in an actual MCC, dude, I think I would actually like cry. Tears of joy, okay? I'm just saying, this team is crazy good. Like, this would be a dream, dude. We've never gotten to see Pete team with the pack before in MCC. I really, really hope we get to see the pack return. And when they do, I hope we get to see Pete kind of like make the team fair. Because if you didn't see, in MCC 34, the pack got last by a lot. And so I hope when the pack actually finally come back that Pete is able to team with them to make it somewhat fair. Because I feel like if Pete teams with them, I feel like Vic, maybe Preston could actually pop off because Pete will be able to help them. And yeah, I don't know. I guess Jerome would probably make the most sense to put on this team, but it could be Jerome, Bayesian, or Lachlan, any three of them, or even Rob, Mr. Wolfels, could be the fourth player for this team. But anyways, this is just me kind of like fanboying and like, you know, hoping that something happens. The only reason I could see them ever returning realistically is like that to prove everybody wrong that they're the old like Minecraft YouTubers that are rusty and don't know what they're doing. But I feel like Pete would be able to help with that and actually be able to make this team competitive. So that's why I made this team. I mean, again, it's probably unrealistic, but I hope it happens one day. And last but certainly not least, we have the Pink Parrots with Krinios, Captain Sparkles, Michael McChill, and Jay Schlatt, with their all-time average being 7,742. So if you don't get the gimmick right off the bat, it makes sense. I mean, it's kind of hard to see, but this is a SDMP team, Sleep Deprived Multiplayer Server Team. If you haven't already seen Sleep Deprived, which is a channel that Jay Schlatt is a part of that, you know, are kind of a group of friends that play video games together, made a survival SMP, and they invited Michael, Krinios, Captain Sparkles, and Venom, and a bunch of other creators to it. And Jay Schlatt is like one of the heads of it, and I thought it'd be cool to have that team kind of represented in MCC. So I was like, bring together 3 players that are part of it, so that are in MCC, and then I was like, add a 4th that's a, you know, like a actual member of the Sleep Deprived team, and I was like, okay. Jay Schlatt makes the most sense because he's like the biggest. And yeah, here we have this team. I mean, it's a really cool team. I feel like this team just works, you know, but like it's not like a strong team by any means. Look at their average, but hey, it's still it'd be a really fun team, to be honest. And so yeah, let me know what you think about this team down below in the comments, because it's probably my favorite or second favorite team that I made out of all of these teams, because I think it's the most creative, and I feel like it would happen actually. I feel like a Sleep Deprived SMP team is actually very likely to happen within the next like 2 MCCs of MCC returning. So yeah, hopefully we get a team similar to this someday, and hopefully we get Jay Schlatt at MCC someday. Anyways guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure to comment down below which team is your favorites and which one you think is the most realistic for MCC 36. Also, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy, and if you haven't already, click right here to watch my MCC Season 4 predictions video. With that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.